and you can go back. But welcome to General Body Meeting number 6. Today, our icebreaker is, what will you be doing over the summer? Will you be at your co-op or internship? Are you like graduating and entering the workforce, or are you just hanging out, which is what I wish I could afford to do, but that's okay. So Megan, if you want to go down the list of people.
Yeah. Anna, what will you be doing over the summer?
So this summer, I'll be co-oping with the city of Stowe. I'm hoping, to have a lot of lake days, though. Just be outside a ton, but I'll be working a lot.
Awesome. That's exciting. Brooklyn, what are you doing this summer?
I'll be working in Dr. Smith's lab and then also working at home.
Oh, we love that. Congrats. I know you're a freshman getting lab work. Congrats. Christopher?
Right now, I don't have any plans. I'm just going to relax, but I'm still looking for another co-op. But if I don't, I'm just chilling.
Nice. Erin, what about you?
I'm taking classes and working.
We love to hear it. Jacob, what are you doing?
I'm going to be co-oping at Morton Salt.
Nice.
Hey.
Josh, what are you doing this summer?
Hey, Keith and I are here. Say hi, Keith. Hi. What am I doing this summer? I'm gonna be working like I normally do, and then I'm gonna trying to do a lot of sailing. That's on my to-do list. Keith, what about you?
Moving into the professional workforce. I'll be working all summer.
Yeah, go Keith.
Hooray.
Working man back here.
Do you know where at yet, Keith?
Oh yeah, I accepted the job back in March at Blue Street Consulting up in Cleveland.
Awesome.
They're about to be a Fortune 500 company with Keith working there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Lordy, what are you doing this summer?
I'm just gonna be working and doing classes. Also, just want to say, Josh, love the mustache.
Michaela, what are you doing this summer?
I will be co-oping at Fontus Blue, which you guys will learn more about shortly, I'm sure.
Nice. And then Natalie, what are you doing this summer?
Classes.
We love it. And then I'm gonna have my first co-op, so I'm excited. Dr. Miller, what are you doing this summer?
I'll be doing my best to mentor Michaela at Fontus Blue and working hard on that. I also have a couple students. One wants to, she wants to finish her dissertation. Another one wants to finish their master's thesis. So sometimes this is a good time to finish writing and get them graduated. So,
Thanks.
And this will be my 4th PhD in a row that's a woman. I say that proudly. I think I have the highest percentage of PhD students to graduate from the College of Engineering in its over 100-year history. So wow. I'm proud of that. I have 2 daughters that are 16 and 18. I don't know, maybe they had some influence on that or something, but so anyway, I'm pretty proud of that. So.
All right. Megan, did we miss anybody?
I don't think so, unless somebody just joined. No, I don't think that we missed anybody.
As always, if you guys are not on Slack, please email one of us and we will get you the link to join. Especially over the summer, Slack is going to be instrumental in communication and planning some fun events. So please join Slack and turn your notifications on. Another reminder, if you have not done so yet, feel free to connect with us on LinkedIn. We are creating a network of sustainable companies to help you all find co-ops and to just get into the field of sustainability faster than maybe otherwise. And then we have another update. So our poster competition was a huge success. I think we had over 10 schools participate, and I want to say we had over at least 300 poster submissions that we went through. And it was very, very hard to narrow them down. But here we have our college winner. It was created by Amy Jagger. And I don't have any close-up pictures of this in the presentation, but this will be hanging up in our new room, and you can come see it. This was our first grade poster winner. Their prompt was, why do they love the earth? And Ella loves earth because she loves the smell of flowers. This was our fourth grade winner, and their prompt was, what can you do to help the earth? They actually made a whole book, but this was just the opening, and I thought it was really cool. This was our high school or our junior high winner. Their prompt was to create a slogan for sustainability. So Tommy came up with litter makes earth bitter, and I thought that was really cool. And then lastly, we had our high school bracket, and their topic was the effects of climate change and hope for the future of the earth. And so this poster was really educational, and you can see all of these posters on our website if you go under Get Involved Earth Day Poster Competition. And then a few more updates. We moved into our new workspace in Olson Research Center. It is room 113. We had originally told everyone it was room 115, and we moved all of our stuff into room 115, and then I had to go back and move all of our stuff again into the correct room. So if you come stop by, it's Olson room 113. And we were also awarded Outstanding Chapter at this year's ESW conference. So that's very exciting news. We are trying to come up with some summer opportunities. So if you guys want to type in the chat what you think you would be interested in, we would like to either go on like a hike, go kayaking, maybe do like a cornhole tournament. We could do a paper making social again, or some sort of trash cleanup, either through like an organization or just we get together and go pick up trash somewhere. So let us know what you're interested in, or if you have another idea, feel free to just drop it in the chat. And like I said earlier, please keep Slack notifications on so that we can plan these events. We are hoping to do a beach cleanup, and we're going to do that through Drink Local, Drink Tap, if there's enough interest. So here are the dates. If you guys see one that you think you would be able to attend, please feel free to drop it in the chat. And then we'll also be sending out another email, maybe with a survey on which date looks best. But we were thinking that maybe the August 22nd date might be good, because I think that is the Saturday before the semester starts. Or if you guys would like to do one earlier in the summer, feel free to let us know. And then as far as our fall general body meetings, we have a couple kind of options here. We could do the evenings again, like this meeting time, or we could do an afternoon. We could start sometime between like noon and 3:30 on certain days of the week. So we do hope that it will be in person, and we do hope that it will be on campus. So if you guys have any information to help guide us onto when to plan this, we're going to be doing that in this next couple weeks. So feel free to send us a message on Slack. If there's a specific speaker that you would like to see, or a specific topic you would like to learn more about, please reach out to us. We really want to make this the best experience we can for all of you. And then our other opportunities. So Megan, go ahead.
Yeah, so the education team over the summer, we're going to take our hiatus, and we'll be back in August. And in the fall, we are planning to have some virtual meetings, and then schedule a couple in-person ones whenever we see fit. If you would like to join next semester, you can Slack me, and I'll send you this when to meet so that we can figure out what time we want to meet. But yeah, you can check out our stuff on our website, and it's always a good time. We're a lot of fun. So, yeah.
All right. Anna or Megan Arcina, either of you want to talk about bike power?
So we finalized our design, and essentially just this summer we will meet just to go over some of the 3D parts and figure out exactly what we can design. And we're going to hold off on ordering things probably till next semester, but we will meet a handful of times this summer, at least we're planning to. So if you're interested, you can shoot me an email or one of the officers and we can get you on the Slack team so you can see when and where.
Awesome. Jacob.
Yeah, we're gonna plan on meeting like normal, so every Monday at 5, because we still have a lot to do, but we're actually gonna start on the construction of some of the parts of the wind turbine, so that'll be fun. Maybe start to have a couple of the meetings in person.
Awesome. And as far as ZPP, I know that they are continuing to meet throughout the summer. They're gonna complete the building of the shredder. They are going to continue to work on the extruder, and we're going to work on some outreach opportunities for incoming semester students. So if you are interested, contact Noor. She's unable to make this meeting, but yeah, all of our projects are going to be fairly active throughout the summer. So if you are going to be in the Akron area, or even if you're going home, feel free to continue to work on the projects or join a new one if you would like. We are not doing this anymore. Sorry, I forgot to take that slide out. And then coming up next, we're hoping to have a summer event, like I said earlier, about the biking or kayaking or something like that. So feel free to reach out with suggestions. And so without further ado, I'm going to present our speaker today. So Dr. Miller is an associate professor in the civil engineering department. I've had him as a professor for statics, and now, of course, I have him as a boss. And he has worked at the University of Akron as a registered professional engineer, and he's also the owner-founder of Fontus Blue. He specializes in drinking water plant operations optimization using machine learning, water quality modeling, and technology evaluation validation. Dr. Miller is also a member of the National Academy of Inventors and served in the United States Army Reserve for 13 years in a construction engineering unit with 7 training exercises in Central America, and he left as a staff sergeant. So Dr. Miller, you can go ahead and start sharing your screen. I'll stop sharing mine.
Awesome.
Where's yours?
Thanks, Michaela. I always throw in that Army stuff so that people know I mean business. You don't mess with me, right? So again, that's what I always tell my daughters, I'm a trained killer. They laugh when I say that because they think I'm a pushover, but you know, officially I am a trained killer. So even as an engineer, but well, thank you. I actually have a couple questions for the group. I have to freely admit I've not, I know maybe a couple brief conversations with a couple of the team members via their participation in the recent competition, but how many approximate members do you have in the group?
We have about 180 people on our email list, and then scattered throughout project teams and everything, we probably have about 30 some active members.
Okay. So, because I was like, have to have some critical mass, or how the heck do you do all these cool projects, right? So, and I get it, you know, only 11 this evening, right? End of the semester. Wasn't too smart on my part to pick, but anyway, then how does one get perhaps a project? You know, like how I saw those, whether it's the plastics project, the bike project, how do projects get selected?
Essentially, you say, hey, I want to start a project, and then we figure out a way to get you funding and get you, you know, whatever you need to complete that. So.
Okay. And that's something obviously cool, interesting, something again we should chat about this summer. I think it'd be cool to have an Akron related. I know that you said Brian Gresser from the Akron Water Reclamation Facility spoke. I don't think that the drinking water side has a good kind of sustainable mindset, and so maybe a project oriented towards that end would be fantastic. So, all right, well, I'll go ahead and share my screen. I am already sharing my screen. I'll set the PowerPoint. Couple things that I was confessing to Michaela before we started, that I had great grand ambitions for the presentation, and then reality kicked in myself at the end of the semester. So I'm not setting you up to be disappointed. I'm setting you up for there's going to definitely be I want to make sure that do a decent job of trying to hopefully provide some clarity, education, or you want to use that right word around just sort of water use and treatment. And then these one water concepts. I know that I don't know how much you've heard of that, or if you've heard of that concept before of one water, and then how some of this relates to climate impacts, a couple little basic case study kind of things at the end. So I actually only have like 12 slides, believe it or not, here. So that's pretty short. So that's what I'm saying. I have the ability to kind of dig into on a few of those and pictures kind of framework. And so in a way, make this a very interactive presentation this evening, okay? And as those of you that have class with me before, if we end at 6 o'clock or whatever, and we're all good, or 6:05, life's good, we'll move on. You've got other stuff to do, right? So I value or appreciate your time there. So, and I would say, just as a quick outsider looking in, keep up the good work. What you're doing is really cool. So, all right. So with that being said, we'll move on. Actually, I should back up for a second. I don't want to create confusion about, I am a professor, full-time professor at the university, okay? But I started Fontus Blue a few years ago, and I'll chat a little bit more about that. So if you're wondering why I have these slides or whatnot, I just, the context is really towards how we're going to try and actually make things happen. I don't have, I mentioned a couple graduate students that I'm trying to graduate. The work that they do is very, very closely tied, almost parallel to the things that we do at Fontus Blue. It's very applied, research oriented. So it just makes sense. I want you to know kind of that how I deploy the research that I do, or the academic things that I've pursued. The vehicle really to do that is Fontus Blue and make things happen. So, yeah, I didn't want to be a confusion there. Wait a second, professor, and then what's Fontus Blue have to do with all this? So, why talk about one water and climate impact? So this is literally an article that was released yesterday. So at least you know your content. Like I said, I don't have canned presentations on this concept, so I'm kind of putting this stuff together as on the fly and consolidating this. And the subject matter here was that primarily because of excessive water use by agriculture, if you actually look at this article and look it up, that's the primary reason that is going to cause a bunch of these wells to run dry. And then, of course, climate-related change, temperature changes, changing evaporation, and you get into the science of the hydrology. So what's the human impact of all this? The reality, I know this maybe look a little extreme here. Has anybody ever seen this picture before, or know or gather where this picture, that if you read this, it says safe water, it's all we want, is actually what the picture is here. Does anybody know what the context of, I should probably have that here, but any guess with this brown colored water?
Is it from Flint, Michigan?
Yep. So this was, you actually literally had people that were showing their water, and now it's not related here to running dry, but I'm just trying to say there's obviously, I think there's over 1 million people in California that could be subject to, so not 1 million wells, actually 1 million people that all of a sudden could just wake up tomorrow and the water would be dry. So instead of a brown colored water, they would actually be shaking a jug that has nothing in it, right? Because they're going to have to go to Walmart or go somewhere and buy the stuff. So this is very much a real thing, not hype. This is just specific to groundwater, and so we can chat about this. And the one water concept, where we're trying to kind of really link this, is that all the activities that we do are going to ultimately have sustainable aspect to the One Water, and whether it's we're using it for agriculture, and then that's either being consumed as part of that production, or we're contaminating the water with the waste discharge things we do. Just this kind of cycle of water, One Water concept I'll talk about a little bit more here in a few minutes. So when I talk about water utilities, I'll refer, I don't know, it's probably a good thing that you had Brian there. Did he say anything about the history of the naming of Akron's, the facility that he ran, now called the Akron Water Reclamation Facility? Did he talk at all about its naming history or anything?
I don't think so. He
Okay,
talked about
so
the history of the plant itself, but not.
Yeah, so it's called the Water Reclamation Facility. I don't know the exact year they changed, but it used to just be the wastewater treatment plant. I mean, like the Akron wastewater treatment plant. So you knew it was wastewater, whereas you have the Akron Water Supply. They rebranded their name. It used to be the Akron Drinking Water Treatment Plant. So you have these two different facilities, and we'll talk more about those in a minute. So when I say water utilities, it encompasses both drinking water and wastewater. So one of the big challenges is the increased regulation, and those regulations are complex. They create risks for the utilities, and they're going to be expensive to comply with. And again, it happens on both sides of the fence. For the wastewater side, you're familiar with the role of nutrients in algal blooms. If anything along those lines, have you heard, like with Lake Erie or agricultural runoff? Is anybody familiar with that aspect of creating problems?
I've heard that stuff mentioned, but I really don't know about it.
Okay, so farmers apply fertilizers, nitrogen, just like you do, or your parents, whatever, may do for their lawn to make it green. Well, you apply these nutrients. Those nutrients will run off from the land into your water sources. Then you get algal blooms. They help feed algal blooms. Well, wastewater treatment plants actually discharge. So water goes into a wastewater treatment plant. They discharge some of this phosphorus. They're really not the source of it. They're just collecting the wastewater, and then they discharge. Well, these regulations are going to require that they reduce more of the phosphorus. So anytime you have increased treatment requirements, it's going to be increased expenses and complexities for the staff and things. Where climate is really starting to make an appearance is that it's changing the actual water quality. So drinking water comes from Lake Rockwell, for instance, which is near Kent. That's where the city of Akron gets their water supply. You have others that get it from rivers. These surface water sources are seeing changes in water quality that they haven't seen before. And so that changes their ability to treat it, making it, again, more complex. So, and then finally, there's actually, they're calling it the silver tsunami in terms of people are retiring, a lot of people that have a lot of this experience. And then, of course, whether it was, COVID created quite a bit of financial impact on water utilities. Why would COVID impact a drinking water treatment utility? Any idea on that financially? So Akron's drinking water treatment plant, they actually were not impacted too severely, but does anybody know what the primary revenue source what's the primary revenue source for a drinking water utility? It's your water bill, right? I mean, it's how much water you use out of your tap or, to shower. That's right. So their revenues went down because restaurants, a lot of those things closed. So the water use went down. So they were billing a lot less. So they still had the same amount of staff and kind of overhead expenses. The treatment costs went down if you're treating less water, but it kind of created a new look or dynamic about how you would do things under increased financial pressures. Water, wastewater is one of the few very profitable enterprises for cities. Okay, right? I mean, like do you get a bill for them cleaning the roads or the snow? No, right? I mean, that's sort of figured into your taxes. With water utilities, they can bill, they can increase the rates. They have a way. It's a very kind of profitable enterprise within municipalities. So this is just one example. This is actually became Michaela's summer reading today. I just forwarded. I want you to know that there's now, so we have these challenges, but how are they actually then kind of now finally, they really didn't exist. This is what's called an American Water Works Association. They're for the drinking water side of the fence. They create these standard manuals of practice that superintendents use to guide best practices, and they give them, I don't know, they give them these goofy names, M71. I don't know what the M stands for or anything, but they give them a number, and this just was published. And so actually having climate impacts translate over into a pretty old industry is a sign of progress. And so how they actually, the main thing here is how are they going to adapt and create strategies as these things are happening, as these weather things are changing, and provide some guidance on that. This is at least a framework. I can tell you that it's extremely challenging. A city like Akron is 300,000. They have a fairly sophisticated staff, a lot of staff. Imagine, and I'm sure some of you come from small towns. Anybody come from small town? I mean, name Reese that's close by. You shook your head because anybody, when I mean small, I just didn't, even Barberton, I can assure you, if you showed them this manual, it'd be like, we're never doing that. And they're, like 17,000 people or something they serve. So imagine anything smaller than that, this translating down to smaller utilities is going to be quite a challenge. So, all right, that is kind of a big picture backdrop. I wanted to at least chat for a second about Fontus Blue. Unfortunately, we don't have any additional intern openings this summer. I'm not recruiting here. I just want to give you a big picture here is that we are a spin-out company directly from the university and the College of Engineering, which means that the University of Akron Research Foundation actually owns a small portion of the company. So the work on this, so everything was, I started in 1995 at the university, was doing a lot of work, actually consulting for drinking water utilities, became frustrated that published papers and then things weren't happening, right? Published a great manual on climate action plans and then it wasn't happening at the drinking water utilities. So the path forward, in addition to trying to create fantastic, or not create, I don't create, educate, mentor, fantastic engineers, young engineers like yourselves that to go out and make change. The other piece was why not have a for-profit company to try and also create a path forward to try and make some impact. So we are, I don't say this to impress you, I just want you to know that we kind of take a higher end subject matter expert type approach. So we have some fantastic people on our team. Ashley here is finishing her PhD in integrated bioscience at the University of Akron. She got her undergraduate in biology from Case, then worked for Sherwin-Williams for a few years. Ate is my PhD student, the one that's going to finish this summer in civil engineering. She got her bachelor's and master's overseas before she came back here, but from her home in Iraq. And now is here. So, excuse me, Iran. So just shoot me. So that's I shouldn't have said Iraq. She's from Iran. So what did we do is we actually created a software service that we use to translate that. I don't have to go too deep into that, but it's kind of I don't know if has anybody heard of Teledoc? Essentially like this virtual doctor type services where you can obviously became more popular during COVID, where you could talk to a doctor online and get almost diagnosed. Obviously, they can't do serious or significant things, but they can provide some level of expertise virtually. We do a little bit of that, and then we also have a software part in this to help support them and do technical calculations and things that maybe they're not as adept at doing. So we have just a little over 50 customers in the USA and Canada, and this less than 1 MGD is 1 million gallons per day, meaning small size utilities, all the way up to Newark, New Jersey, or Akron are our largest customers. So I think this is up to date. Actually, we have North Carolina now as well. So we're slowly growing and hope to keep on growing. We have a lot of partners. I had just listed EarthTech here. EarthTech is a chemical supplier that provides really effective algicide for trying to help control algae and source waters, and we have lots of partners. So I wanted to throw this out as some companies in terms of mission. I'll chat a little bit about our mission is exceptional water for everyone every day. Xylem is I don't know how many billion-dollar company, but I thought this was just actually put out on LinkedIn this week. They say that more people with clean water with less impact on the planet, that's water innovation, that's our mission. So I'm not saying we didn't steal this from them. I just thought there was some probably some close alignment, obviously, with some things. And we hope to be a billion-dollar company someday, okay? But we're just a small startup right now. But this exceptional water for everyone every day, what that means for us is this exceptional water means many things. One is that there are standards for drinking water. There are standards for wastewater. We say exceptional means that utilities that want to do better than that. So our customers are like, yes, we know these are the standards, but we actually want to do better than the standards, which would be exceptional. The for everyone is, of course, has to do with accessibility to clean water, equity relative to clean water, affordability, those kinds of things. And so I mentioned we serve both the small and the large, and that's by design, not so that we can increase our market, but we don't want to just focus on the largest cities and the largest systems that have the most money. That's what I hate to say it, but that's what the Xylems of the world, that's where they're going to make their most money, is because guess what? LA has 5 big water treatment plants. They have huge budgets. They're going to write big checks. They're not going to have maybe a need for those smaller utilities to have a greater need. So I'm not saying they're greedy or any of that, but it's just that it created a business model where you can serve everyone, both the customers or the end users of the water, as well as the people that actually have to manage it, treat it, do those things. So this everyday part has to do with a lot of the regulations are based on a frequency of compliance. So you may not know this, but how many of you drink? Are you drinking Akron water? And I'm sure you drink maybe, but if you're drinking tap water from a municipal system, the question isn't if there's known carcinogens in the water. The question is how much. Okay. So I'm not saying that to scare you. I'm just telling you that's the reality. So depending on the source water and how much chlorine they add and those things, the chlorine plus the part that they don't treat, when you put those two together, it forms known carcinogens. And these are called disinfection byproducts. These disinfection byproducts are only monitored on a quarterly basis within the city. So City of Akron, 300,000 people, huge city. They literally monitor 12 locations in the system once a quarter, okay, for 300,000 people. So if you're a little small, 5,000, 10,000 people, they'll monitor 2 locations once a quarter. So we're trying to, when I was saying about getting cities that want to do better, and we want them to do better actually every day, right? So when they're looking at what they're doing and what water they're sending out, they're aware and conscientious about doing that again every day. All right, so a couple one water concepts that so you heard that concept before? Anybody talked about a one water concept?
I've heard it mentioned before, but
Okay.
never in great detail or anything.
Yeah, so it's kind of like one of these buzzwords that may have many meanings. So I want to try and do a couple examples tonight where we'll use the same words, but you may see two totally different maps or frameworks, okay? So this is one that's put out by the U.S. Water Alliance. And again, sorry, Michaela's getting ready to work. We've got to talk about stuff next week. Also, I'm getting all these good thoughts, as we put all this stuff together. I need to send you this report. This Water Alliance is a really good in terms of details about these different things. So they've got 6 pieces or parts, if you want to call it, that overlap and form their one water approach. So it starts first with reliable and resilient water utilities. So water utilities here means the same concept that I said before, meaning both the utility that usually within a city that produces potable water that you can drink, and the utility that takes care of after you shower and other things, and the water goes into the sewer. They have to treat it before they put it back out in the environment. So we're going to talk about this one here in a second, more and more detail as a one water concept all its own. So thriving cities, competitive business and industry. This is where they're showing how water impacts, and again, your social economic inclusion, healthy waterways. So they've got water and how it's impacting these different elements. And like I mentioned here, even we did a really cool project with middle school and high school teachers about 8 or 10 years ago about how we had students sample the chlorine residual at their homes. So like, you can smell a little chlorine. There's a treatment plant that chlorinates the water, sends it on its way. The teachers, not even the students, but the teachers, these middle school and high school science teachers, asked if there was an economic component to water quality. Now, thankfully, within a given city, like the city of Akron doesn't put like the good pipes in the wealthy neighborhoods and the poor pipes in the less, right? When you put pipes in, they're set by standards and you put them in, okay? Now, the ability of the city to support having good, healthy pipes, now obviously that becomes an economic issue, right? Flint didn't have a lot of money as a city as a whole, so then that can become a problem, okay? So, but within the city of Akron, even though you have quite a bit of economic diversity, you won't have, in terms of how the city approaches things, how they replace water mains or do those things, that's very equitable, okay? So this is, at least water quality tends to be equitable within the confines of the water utility that's servicing it, okay? Sure, there can be some small choices, right? Who gets the newer pipes first or whatever, I get that. But in terms of just in general, you don't have a lot of issues with that. So my expertise is more on this, and that's what I'm going to talk about next. I don't know, again, there's an excellent report I could forward to anybody if you want to see how what they're just trying to do here is probably more of almost like a mayoral or city council viewpoint of water, and how, if they have an awareness, how it can actually be a competitive business advantage. The city of Akron has plenty of water and plenty of capacity as a drinking water treatment plant. They've actually looked at acquiring other smaller systems, other cities that are around, because they can produce it much cheaper, much more effective. They've looked at recruiting businesses into the area that are heavy users of water. Those, right? So there become these other elements that happen, and so it's kind of its own area in and of itself. So I think that this tends to be about recreation, aesthetics, beauty, quality of living, those kind of things, right? You want to live. I mean, one of the sort of hidden secrets about this area is that, I mean, the Cuyahoga, now it's not secret to you all that live here, but I came from Iowa. I had no clue that, you know, you could have beautiful nature stuff in Ohio. I'm sorry, but that's, you know, and cornrows are not beautiful. I get it in Iowa, but just like you think there couldn't be cool stuff in Iowa, there is. Okay. So healthy waterways is generally about, again, a quality of life and those things. So, again, separate from how are we going to produce good water and treat water to good levels. So I know I'm already almost here to we have 6:15, right? Is that cutoff? Okay. So just a couple more slides here, and then I'm trying to open up for questions. So this is more of the kind of engineered version of a one water concept when you get down into the utility level and these two utilities, and try to think of it circular. Sometimes you'll hear source to tap. I don't know if you've heard some of these phrases, you know. So this is trying to look at, if we have a source water, this can be a river, can be a groundwater aquifer, can be a lake that we're pulling the water from. We treat that water, we distribute that water through pipes. Yeah, it shows up at your tap, your shower head. I mean, you're the customer or stakeholder. You discharge that water, right? Goes right back down the drain into sewers. It's collection. There's a collection system. Goes to a treatment plant, the Akron Water Reclamation Facility. You may do your best to do some resource recovery, but you're going to send that water back out into the environment. And there's really this circular aspect that happens, okay? I didn't have time. I would have loved to pull. Everybody pretty much knows how the Cuyahoga River flows, right? It starts out, I forget which county, but basically out to the northeast of Akron, comes south into Akron, and then flows north to Cleveland, right? That's the Cuyahoga River. It kind of does this big U. Well, there are lots of wastewater treatment plants, including Akron, city of Akron, along this Cuyahoga River. I think at one time it's 55 or 39. Let's see, there's my daughters now, about 15. Hey.
Okay, can you check your text?
No, sure. We're going to go eat here soon. Mexican. See, I already told them. So, she wants me to read my text. I read my text. But if you read like big, long books, then I don't, it's hard to read. So, so this big U, there's like 59 either like package plants or large facilities like Akron that discharge their wastewater into the Cuyahoga River. That goes up to Erie, and you have like 7 million people that drink Lake Erie water along, you know, the coast, Cleveland, Mentor, Ashtabula. You have all these people that drink. Well, there's pharmaceuticals in that discharge. So where you're at kind of in this water cycle does matter, right? I mean, in terms of your exposure and those things. But either way, this concept, believe it or not, really, even when I was being formally trained, was not preached, emphasized. Sorry, my Baptist upbringing, right? Preached. Yeah. So that this knowing that it kind of really does run full circle has kind of become a central concept to this. So this is from the managed system part, because whatever ends up being consumed, utilized, ends up becoming wastewater, and somebody's source water was probably impacted by somebody else's wastewater or wastewater treatment. The last two slides I had was to try and start at least look at some of these matching up. Again, we have drinking water treatment plants and wastewater treatment plants. So some of these climate impact examples and a couple quick case studies. more so on the drinking water side. But what are the climate impacts that it really pertain to water and wastewater? This is a bunch of them here I put here. These are the column headers. Rainfall. So precipitation, rainfall is going to impact the quantity of the source water. So again, in this part of the country, the quantity is usually not an issue, right? I mean, we have plenty of rainfall, we have moderate temperatures, so evaporation, those things, but this is something that is an important consideration. This is, of course, temperature is an area subject to drought. So again, if your supply drops and you still have to meet heavy demands, you should look up Cape Town sometime, South Africa. They were almost down to like less than 3 months, where they thought that if they didn't get rainfall or do something, the city was not going to have water. And I forget how many million people are in Cape Town. They were even reducing, or they had severe restrictions on use, all kinds of things, but the hotels were still using a ton of water and all, it was some pretty cool stories. You should read about it. Now, nature kind of bailed them out and provided some rainfall. They really literally were headed towards a disaster. So storms, very near and dear to even the city of Akron. This tends to impact more a lot of the wastewater collection systems also are impacted by rainfall. And so you have combined sewer systems that carry both sanitary and stormwater. A lot of the cities in the Northeast built their systems as such, so that like, hey, if we're going to put in a pipe, why not have it convey both, right? That makes sense. And when those pipes get full, you can send it out to the river. Well, guess what? We can't do that anymore. City of Akron spending almost $1 billion on collection system improvements to separate those two, capture the stormwater. So storms and their intensity is changing and increasing and making those things even more difficult. So I won't spend too much time on a few of these others, even drought and wildfire, California. So here's San Diego. You get a lot of burnt ground, and then you get rainfall on that. That rainfall gets impacted by what was the trees and everything, right, that were consumed. It's changing the quality of that water that then goes into the lake, the river, the reservoir. And guess what? That water's harder to treat. It's a different quality and it's harder to treat, and also likes to form carcinogens when you add chlorine to it. So last slide I had here, and I forgive the size here, but there's a couple, just some a little more detailed on a couple of case studies of things that are impacted by a few of these things. So this is still out of the same, like whether we look at Tampa Bay water, I think they're on the end here. They're saying that their incoming water quality, treatment capacity, their technologies, all these things are being impacted by climate, and this has become a focus area for them. So these cities are going through a kind of a mapping exercise, and again, I don't give you all the details, how they end up scoring these different impacts, and then they look at how those will impact specific aspects so that they can plan accordingly and begin thinking about ways to mitigate on specific pieces that they think that are really important. There's a lot of people in Tampa that drink the water. They actually have been subject to some harmful algal bloom, taste and odors, algal toxins that they don't put in here, but that are also impacting that. I think there was one other, I already started the city of Fort Collins, but I just gave you the city of Akron issue here, is that managing stormwater is becoming a big deal because of these changing rainfall intensities and storms. A good old civil engineers, you'll learn in hydraulic engineering or applied hydraulics how we apply historical rainfall statistics essentially to assign a design storm, a 10-year storm, a 25-year storm. Well, guess what? The 10-year storm of 30 years ago is not the 10-year storm. Then the 10-year storm is defined as the storm we would expect on average to occur once every 10 years. Well, if the statistics change, that storm gets more intense, and we designed facilities that you typically last quite a while, 30, 40, 50 years, guess what? They're now undersized for the current 10-year storms and those things. So causing some really big challenges. So that's all I had. That's my email. Open to questions there. I appreciate your time and attention on a busy week. So, and I can go back to a couple of the slides if you have any questions or so.
If anyone has any questions, feel free to just unmute yourself, or you can type it in chat and I can ask.
I know you want to get back to studying, but you got to give me one, and it can't be you, Michaela. Please give me one. So I know I didn't do just such a fantastic job. So okay, go ahead. Sorry.
So my understanding is that you're a professor and also in charge of a company at the same time. How do you do that? And why?
So I have to be careful what I say because this meeting's being recorded, right? No. So so how do I do it? I work ridiculous hours, right? And that's going to be a natural consequence, or I'm extremely efficient and I have great employees, right? All the above. So I'm fortunate that there's activities that can be relatively parallel, right? So there's published a lot of great work on the work that's been done actually at the treatment plant at Akron. So that's kind of been the so my students get to go work directly with the utilities. They get to, go sample the water. They're actually at the treatment plant interacting with the staff. They're creating, tools for doing things. So I'm fortunate that I've kind of found the right way. And because the university owns a piece of it, it reduces some of the conflict, if you will, conflict of commitment or conflict of interest, right? So the Research Foundation was created for that purpose. There's other professors that have started companies. Chelsea Monty Bromer she used to be a chemical engineering professor. She's got a sensor for sweat for like athletes. There's a lot of universities that some promote it more strongly than others, that activity, right? And then your second question, why? Maybe I didn't do a great job there again. I meant it when I said that actually getting this great research to be used by utilities, particularly utilities at a smaller size, just doesn't happen. It's like they have all the great, you can buy the manual, but there weren't ways to actually get them to push towards thinking about water, this exceptional water concept. They're like, hey, I'm meeting the regulations, I'm doing what I'm supposed to. And I think more of that was because they just didn't have the means to figure out how to do it better. So we're trying to create a company and a software to help them do it better that's cost effective, essentially. So not like what Xylem sells to the big cities. So unfortunately, we probably need to charge more so we can keep the lights on, but that's a different story. So good question. Thank you.
What have been some of the biggest struggles getting these smaller cities to implement some of these better procedures, or I guess kind of things?
Yeah. Also another good question. So the usually this is where the professor part skills kind of come in, is that they're great. I mean, in general, they're great, dedicated people. They're selfless, right? They're not necessarily getting paid top dollar, although as complexities have gone up and responsibilities, wages have gone up as well. But So they just don't have, many times they won't even have a college degree, let alone college degree in engineering or something like that. So they're not an oil and gas facility that's high profit, high technical, where you have even PhDs maybe running, and contributing to that. So we do a good education part. And so hopefully I think I'm an okay teacher, right? So we kind of incorporate some of that into helping educate them and find a way to reinforce and kind of lift them up to greater understanding. And then we make it cost effective. And then I think the final piece is that before COVID, we already had a virtual support model. So we were trying to do this virtually even before COVID, and COVID kind of helped us because all of a sudden it made it normal, right? So we've had conversations with a guy from Utah that's super, super small, and he's actually a crane operator that in Utah, that's good enough to run the treatment plant, I'm not joking. And so, and it's like, so we can kind of meet them, help try and find a way to support them. So yeah, that's, before that, it was tough because again, virtual meetings were not the norm. So we'd usually have this, and they're very much they trust their peers. So we try to keep a really good, we have a really good reputation, and we try and work within kind of a referral network kind of mode so that they trust us. So now I'm happy I get 2 good questions. Not saying there can't be any more, but that. You're just feeling sympathetic for my daughter because she wants to eat.
If nobody else has questions, thank you very much, Dr. Miller, for presenting. I thought this was super interesting, and thank you again.
Awesome. Again, good luck to everybody, both in your finals and with this group. I think what you're doing is fantastic. So.
All right. Thank you, everyone, for coming, and good luck on finals.
Thank you.
See you all.